sport. It's not just about winning, it's how you go about it. Just when all seems lost,
well, a perfect performance by Steve Davis.
He's done it!
it's not about how hard you fall, but how quickly you get back up and back in the race.
Quite incredible the number of falls have been. Yifter's out of touch. They've been desperate now. It's the gold medal for Finland.
And a new world record.
Retaining total self-belief, no matter how futile it seems.
Out the back wire must be the best part of 12, 15 lengths from the leader. Paul Moore is swooping. Treasureby's just holding on. Grabbed by Paul Moore. Paul Moore's got up to win it.
It's about that once-in-a-lifetime performance, where you find something that means even when you're last, you can still cross the line first.
Jenson Button is in last place now. Button sails past him, somehow finding enough grip. Button goes the wrong way round. Is he ahead of him? Yes, he is. Button leads the Grand Prix. What a victory. It's a sensational drive for Button.
It wasn't a bad finish, was it? And if you were one of the lucky ones who stayed with it till the very end of the night, then the car behind us, driven by Jenson Button, gave us the most incredible finish. It's one that you can tell the grandchildren about. You watched the longest race in Formula One history. It felt long when we were watching it, David, particularly when the rain was coming down. How long did it feel in the commentary box?
Well, it did feel a bit long when we're talking about birds on the track and Marshall sweeping away the water, but in the end we were rewarded with a fantastic finale to that Grand Prix.
I had no idea you were such an avid twitcher.
I didn't know that's what you called it.
Yeah, that's the British
word
word
for
for
ornithology from a Robbie Williams song.
Well, it was very impressive, all to say. Eddie, it was impressive from the commentary box. It was impressive, actually, being in the paddock and the garages and the pit lane, which is where we were. The atmosphere was like nothing else.
Well, if we were looking for the best seat in the house, this was absolutely... We were so fortunate. We go to many different teams, but we happened to be in the McLaren team for this particular race. It was euphoric. You can't believe the excitement. It was just purely triumphant. It was a wonderful, wonderful occasion that will live with me forever.
And as ever, David, Formula One doesn't wait for any man. We can hear the engines roaring up ahead of qualifying here. McLaren are determined to make it 2 wins from 2 races. And David's just watching these pictures with a great big grin on his face, because Jenson's a popular guy. But it was the fact that we've had one guy dominate this season so much, and then Jenson looked like he was having such a bad race and still took the win. Everything came together perfectly for that one, didn't it?
Well, if you think about Jenson's career, his first win with Honda came in changeable conditions in Budapest. His first victory for McLaren in Melbourne came in changeable conditions. There's nobody like him when it comes to sort of wet, dry transition. And at one point he was running 4 or 5 seconds a lap quicker than anyone else on that racetrack. So there's no question next time we have those conditions, no matter where he is on the track at that time, then if the bookies are still open, then people have to place their bets.
Absolutely. We'll wait and see what happens this weekend. But after racing around a man-made island 2 weeks ago in the St Lawrence River, this place is equally unique. It's very rare that we travel to somewhere where the swimmers and the sunbathers have their day interrupted by the roar of Formula One, but they do here. We're in the industrial heartland of Valencia, a track flanked by warehouses and motorways as the cars take to the track around one of the biggest ports in Spain. And there's also a nod to its slightly less glamorous past, as the pit buildings are old tinglados, sheds that once reverberated to the sound of something rather different: fishermen selling their catch. And this is a live shot of the pit lane at the moment. You can see it's full of the fans, and that is the beautiful Tinglado. And just above our heads, actually, that's so much nicer now that Lewis's engine's gone off. Just above our heads are these old tiles here from when this place did sell fish. They were put up there many years ago, and I imagine at the time they had absolutely no idea that one day, instead of red snapper and halibut, these buildings would be filled with the most expensive racing cars in the world. There are some lovely things about this place, but there's also something missing very slightly. I mean, the most famous moment is this: Mark Webber going upside down last year. We need this race to deliver this year, I think, don't we, guys?
Well, we do need it to deliver. The overtaking moves here in the past have been very poor, and really that needs to up. But let's hope the new rules will do that for us. But Valencia, I must say, you know, it's right in the... It's no different to Monaco. It has a great possibility. We've talked about the architectural values here. It's a wonderful place to come and visit. But the sparkle, you know, that little fire in your tummy, it's just not there for here yet.
Eddie mentioned the new regulations there. We saw one overtake in this race in 2009, a whopping 12 months ago. We had 82 overtakes to compare that to Turkey from this year. This is really an acid test, actually, of the new regulations this weekend, isn't it?
Well, in many ways, we shouldn't be surprised. There's not much overtaking. Qualifying sorts out the fastest car at the front, slowest car at the back. And why should there be a big transition once you get into race conditions? But with the Pirelli tyres this year, there's been a lot of drop-off in the performance of the tyres, and that has then made strategy a much more important part of this racing. And with DRS as well, the drag reduction system, we are seeing a situation where drivers can't defend. You know, you can't defend against a 15-kilometre-an-hour speed differential. So there is no question we'll see more overtaking here this weekend.
Some people have pointed to the fact that it was Sebastian Vettel being well aware that Jenson could deploy his DRS and overtake him that forced him into that error in Canada, and we'll hear from Sebastian during our build-up programme. And talking of the current Formula One world champion, Eddie, with all the euphoria about Jenson Button, no one's actually mentioned that in Canada it was actually almost the perfect result for Sebastian Vettel. He extended his lead in the championship.
Well, I mean, he will have been told by his engineer that his closest rival, Lewis Hamilton, has just gone out of the race. So he will be absolutely crazy in the car with joy. And of course, yes, he did make... And what I like about the thing with Vettel, we saw a tiny glimmer of hope that this guy is human. He does make mistakes, but he had to be pushed into it, and full marks to Jenson for doing that, because I don't think any other driver in any other given circumstance would have been able to do that.
And while you're looking at those numbers, do not give up on the current Formula One season. There are still 300 points up for grabs. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of race 8 of this particularly incredible season, actually, I think we should relive exactly what happened 2 weeks ago, and I think these boys and you will all be very pleased to know that we've managed to condense 4 hours, 4 minutes and 39 seconds of Formula One action into just a couple of minutes. Enjoy this.
Safety car is in this lap. We're going to have a race. He's touched, Webber is round, and it was Hamilton getting right up the inside of him.
Oh, no, McLaren's touch! Lewis Hamilton, obviously with suspension damage, puncture.
What is he doing?
I think he was trying to pass you, Jenson. Look how hard it's raining. The race is suspended. Then we got a Ferrari off. It's Fernando Alonso's. It was Button up the inside of Alonso.
Button's got a puncture.
This is Massa side by side with Kobayashi and Michael Schumacher. It looks like he's gone past a pair of them. Front wing there on Felipe Massa.
On the slick tyres, he's just aquaplaned.
Gonna touch.
It's broken his front wing.
Oh,
It's like none of these guys know where their front wing is.
Michael Schumacher is a sitting target. Webber goes down the outside. He's locked his left front. Can he get through the... Well,
He's going to have to give that position back.
And there he goes,
There
but he's
he
got
goes.
to not let Button through at the same time. Can he do that? He can.
He did.
Oh, Webber nearly lost it. Button sails past him. Button goes the long way round. Schumacher, is he ahead of him? Yes, he is. Button up into second place. Vettel leads as he goes into the final lap.
He's
Look
got
at that.
wide.
Button leads the Grand Prix. Jenson Button, what a victory. He wins a brilliant race.
That was truly incredible. 14 overtakes by Jenson Button in the final 5 laps. Those were the statistics, and the final overtake was on the car behind us, the car belonging to Sebastian Vettel. The first time, David, this season that we've seen a slight chink in the armour of Seb. What would have gone on in the team after that? How much analysis, how much reflection goes on in a Formula One team when a driver has made a small error that's cost them a win? What do you think?
Well, I think it'd be very straightforward. He would have looked at his entry speed to that corner in comparison to the lap before. It's very clear that he put a right rear wheel on the damp part of the track, and that just dragged him out, and then he was obviously in a position where he couldn't defend. So I don't think there'd be any more analysis necessary than that. It was a mistake by the driver. Why he was so late sort of responding to the pressure that Jenson was putting under, only he'll be able to answer. But second place is still not a bad result, and of course he's disappointed. He doesn't want to make mistakes in those conditions, but he just showed that he's only human.
The Vettel PR machine's been in overdrive this weekend, Eddie, with Sebastian telling everyone that will listen, I wasn't under pressure from Jenson, it was just a natural driving error and anyone can make that.
Well, he can say what he wishes. We're the punters, we're looking at it, and we have to take our own view as what it is. He would never have made that mistake if Jenson hadn't been there. And for him to go on at length about that kind of an argument, it doesn't wash with me. I think Jenson Button put him under enough pressure to make him fall into that error, at least to look into his mirrors. Where is he? What's going on? And you need the slightest little confusion in the mind, and suddenly the car is around. Jenson was by. Jenson forced him into that error, in my view.
I think the thing is, when you're in the car and you're looking at the gap, you know, you look at your pit board when you go by and you see you've got a 5-second lead, and then you come round the next lap and it's a 1-second lead. That puts you under pressure because you're mentally thinking, right, where am I going to find 4 seconds?
I suppose it was the aggression from Jenson that did it, and I spoke to Jenson yesterday, and if we have a look at the calendar as far as the rest of the season is concerned, Jenson has said the only way anyone's going to catch Sebastian Vettel and beat him is to be aggressive on the track when you're near him, and to be aggressive in your approach to the weekend.
Well, you know, he's probably saying exactly what way Lewis is currently driving, because he's certainly driving with enough aggression, but let's leave that for the moment. I think Jenson is not a naturally aggressive driver. He's smooth, he's stylish, he loves the changing conditions. So where he's going to find that newfound aggression is beyond me, because Vettel has a very significant lead in the championship, so it's going to take something new.
Okay, and we also saw two McLarens bumping into each other once again. You did that, 1999 Austria, Mika Häkkinen. How does that work? Do you just sort of get over that and accept it's something that happens, or would those boys have had a conversation afterwards?
Yeah, of course there would have been a conversation. I think Martin Whitmarsh mentioned in the broadcast that they had, that during the 2-hour wait, they had time to sort of reflect on it and assume responsibility. But it's never good to crash with your teammate. It's never good to crash with anyone. But of course, it just, the pressure within a sort of happy family of a team is immense on those two guys, because the person you have to beat first is your teammate.
Yeah, and of course the pressure gets more and more when the man who will be sitting in the car behind us has got the lead that he has got. But as ever, Formula One has been on both the front pages and the back pages over the past 7 days, which I suppose is hardly surprising for a sport that seems to generate more stories than it does hand out points. However, here's Ted to wrap up all the action from off the track in the past few days.
On the back of his win in Canada, Jenson Button believes he can now challenge Sebastian Vettel for this year's World Championship. Button knows the Red Bull driver can make mistakes under pressure.
This is where we are, we're 60 points behind. We've seen a couple of weaknesses in Red Bull and Sebastian over the last 2 races. And the luck isn't always on their side, which is good to see.
For his part, Vettel insists it wasn't a matter of him cracking under pressure, just a rare mistake.
I don't think it was a situation, where I was feeling so much pressure that I cracked. It was, very tricky in these conditions. I had to push very hard, but for here everything is back to normal, and I think we have, nothing to be ashamed of or worried about.
Still on the subject of the championship, Fernando Alonso's admitted for the first time that he doesn't expect to be able to beat Sebastian Vettel to this year's title, and is instead focusing on second place.
It's true that the first guy is completely out of reach for the others, because he has a lot of advantage. We cannot forget that we are in average 1 second behind Red Bull in qualifying, so they are very, very dominant in this championship, maybe the most dominant car in years.
The driver market silly season is in full swing. Jenson Button's denied he's been talking to Ferrari and instead looks set to stay at McLaren. Ferrari insist they're keeping Felipe Massa, and a German magazine has mocked up what Lewis Hamilton might look like as Sebastian Vettel's teammate at Red Bull.
That's not very good.
How much do you like that?
I don't think it looks so good. I can't say too much about that.
There's a rule change this weekend that could end Red Bull's stranglehold on pole position. It's a ban on special qualifying-only engine maps that generate exhaust gas even when the driver is off the throttle. This effectively uses the exhaust for aerodynamic gain and makes the cars sound like they're misfiring in corners. The ban comes ahead of another clampdown in this area at the next race, the British Grand Prix, in a fortnight.
Well, I think all the top teams used qualifying maps. And the reason we didn't race them is because the fuel consumption was too high, or perhaps the reliability of the engine. So it will make several tenths difference, but my feeling is that everybody will just ratchet down.
Sergio Perez is now fit to race after this crash in Monaco 4 weeks ago. The Mexican says his symptoms meant it was too soon to try and make a comeback for the last race in Canada.
I was feeling dizzy, so it was not helping at all. But now my normal life has improved a lot. Less dizziness, and this is a big help and a big motivation. I'm looking forward to get back in the car.
And finally, Paul di Resta goes into qualifying today on the back foot after having his car smashed up by test driver Nico Hülkenberg on Friday. The resulting repairs meant Paul missed most of second practice, so he has a lot of ground to make up today.
It's proven to be pretty difficult to get the car balanced with the temperature on the track and making sure everything's working and you have the perfect setup.
Yeah, it's been a tough weekend so far for Paul di Resta. We'll mention him in just a moment, but it's over 40 degrees on-track temperature. The sun is out. And, guys, this is actually quite encouraging. The grandstand is filling up, lots of fans taking photos. We haven't necessarily had this kind of atmosphere in Valencia before.
I think what happens is it takes a couple of years, well, naturally enough, and it's very close in terms of proximity to Barcelona. So people with money have to budget as to where they're going to go, I would imagine. And more people are coming here because it's absolutely in the centre of the city. It's beside the port. There's a lot of real life going on here. And I can see that the racing is becoming more exciting and people will flood here this place in the future.
Actually, I've bumped into quite a few British people who've come down to combine a bit of Grand Prix racing with a holiday, because you can walk from the track, lie on the beach in the afternoon.
Yeah, sometimes you can pay less for the ticket and basically get yourself a free holiday compared to watching it somewhere else where it's a bit more expensive. Now, we just walked past the Force India garage there. Give us an idea of the mindset of Paul di Resta at the moment, David. He came into F1, picked up points in his first couple of races. Everything seemed so easy, and maybe now he's realising this sport isn't quite as friendly as it first seemed.
I'm not sure we can say he probably thought it was easy, but he certainly had a great start to his Grand Prix career. He's doing everything that he can to put himself in the shop window for the future. You know, can Force India be a front-running team in the future? Well, that remains to be seen. So what he has to be doing is beating his teammates, scoring points, and getting himself an opportunity to go somewhere else where he can actually score podiums and wins.
OK, we'll wait here because Rubens Barrichello's engine is roaring up over there, and we don't want to blast your ears for a second time during this programme. But we heard from Ted there talking about the new regulations coming into Formula One. This is changing the engine mapping for qualifying. Fernando Alonso has described this now, David, as the second championship. Is that just desperation from him, do you think, hoping that this will create a second championship and change the pecking order slightly?
Every year there's always someone complaining about something. It was the double diffusers when only 3 teams started with it in 2009, and Jenson, managed to win a bunch of races early doors and then held on to win the World Championship. And then obviously, we've had flexible front wing talk, and now we've got the blowing hot gases. Once this passes, it'll be something else. And I joked this morning on Radio 5 Live that it will be the colour of some of the drivers' underwear that is the secret
You never
thing.
know.
It's part of Formula
They do
One.
look for everything in this sport, don't they?
I have just my own little theory on this. We've seen the Red Bull so dominant this year, and we're in danger of seeing another era of the Michael Schumacher, dare I say. The car is so good, Vettel is so good, and my guess is that they are looking at little areas where they think Red Bull has an advantage and they want to take that advantage away from them. And I think that's in many respects how Formula One works. And if it's going to make closer racing, I'm all for it.
OK, so they just look for different things each week until they just ban the Red Bull eventually.
I don't say just as flippant as that, but there is an argument to believe that I think that, the change of the engine here definitely is directed towards Red Bull. That's my view.
I think what it is, it's such a complex sport. The regulations are set there, and everyone makes their cars to those regulations, but interpreting those rules. And of course, with technology, you can explore areas that when they were writing the rules, they didn't even know existed. So it constantly has to be updated. And normally the teams would prefer that was done at the end of the season, but occasionally it gets done during the year.
All right, we'll wait and see what happens there. Now, as of today, it is National Motorsport Week in the United Kingdom, which means you can go down and walk through the front doors of a Formula One team, get really close to motorsport, and we saw it as a great opportunity to make David Coulthard get up very early in the morning and do this.
Attention, Class A drivers. You have 15 minutes to qualify.
This is all about affordable motorsport. This is Lewis, this is his road car, and this is what track days are all about. 25 quid, you've brought your, what is this actually?
Scirocco.
Your VW Scirocco, look at that. You've still got some kit in the back there.
He's going the distance. He's going for speed.
So here I am, out on the Brantack circuit. Wow, it's such a great track, isn't it? Great opportunity. I wish I'd known this when I was a young driver coming up.
Oh my God, it's like too fast for me. Thank you. right. That's an auto test. He's not called Alistair, he's called James Bond. I've seen him in the movies.
Auto testing is a set route defined by a map that you're given, and it's basically to try and get around this course as quickly as possible. It's a great entry-level motorsport. Per round is £150 maximum to do. So we go to the right of this cone, to the left of the next cone. We're going to stop here, circle these cones here, keep the power going. Then you go forward, come to a halt, reverse off the line, turn, come to a halt, select reverse gear, looking over your left-hand shoulder. The finish line is on the left.
Wow. What looks like a very short course, actually, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to memorise it. Grand Prix racing's easy, you just keep doing the same thing time and time again, but we'll see how we go.
Oh, wrong way. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
Would that have got me an entry level, or would I be firmly last?
Going the wrong way would incur a very large penalty, so it would be fastest time plus 20 or 30 seconds on the day.
So they're quite a stickler for regulations. Official timekeeper here. What do we have here? We've got Alistair's time was...
This is 23:31 and your time was 32:12, but unfortunately 2 penalties.
And the 2 penalties, what does that add to the time?
Another 10 seconds.
Right.
So it's
OK, so
19
seconds off the pace in a 23-second event.
So you can immediately see there was no wheel spin. It is an uphill ski slalom, and it's he or she who gets furthest. So a little bit of right brake. It can be done incredibly cheaply, but like all motorsports, you can spend as much as you like as well. Absolutely, well done, yep. It is purely a driver sport. So actually, a newcomer coming in and spending an awful lot of money will get him no results whatsoever.
That's a technical mark.
So this is a great sport for partners, because you need your co-driver there to lean on the wheels when you're going up some of these tight corners and the rest of it.
Yep. So lots of husbands and wives, lots of brothers and brothers.
Help! Well, this could definitely test a relationship, couldn't it, if you've got a husband and wife in here? So shall we go and test my skills and see if I can actually get up the hill?
So, a little bit of left brake, clip the red, that way a bit. Now left brake, brake off, right brake, off the gas. No, combination. Look at your face.
That's because I know I've got a hill behind me.
Right brake on, it's gone again. Right brake on, off the gas, off it. Keep up, down. Now, oops. Try again. Go on, go. Keep the power on. More power, more power, more power. Burn the wheels. Absolutely, it's going. Keep the right brake on.
I'm happy with that. I don't want to go any further. Thank you very much. Right. I think I've had enough adrenaline for today. You can drive it back down the hill.
His excuse, of course, that it was too dissimilar to a car like this. He's used to the Formula One cars. Ross Brawn from Mercedes is with us, who was chuckling away to that. Did you see any potential skills there that might make you want to bring this man out of retirement?
I think I would have done a better job, more ballast. So
apparently that does help, actually, and bouncing.
I've always said you're too thin, particularly to stand there on live television. Have you had an offer yet of a contract from the British Trials Championship? Is that news we can announce?
Funnily enough, I've not heard another word from any of those guys. And one of the things we didn't have the opportunity to show there was we actually had a run-up Shilsley Walsh hill climb as well with Scott Moran, who's a champion in that sport. incredible what these guys are doing. People like Sterling Moss started in that way back, and it's well worth people going to gomotorsport.com because it's a very affordable way to get involved in motorsports.
Absolutely. Type Go Motorsports into Google. Well, let's talk about your involvement in this. You'll be throwing open the doors of Mercedes Grand Prix in Brackley, will you, and welcoming the F1 Hordes in?
We have 2 competitions we're running. One for a factory visit, factory tour, and the other one is to join us at Goodwood, form part of the team and work on the car.
Wonderful, and I think that's where we started. I just have one question because it's slightly different. Michael Schumacher, Mercedes, next year's contract, whose side is the option on?
It's on Michael's side.
So he can renew if he wishes. Thank you.
What do you expect his thinking to be at the moment, Ross? You know, we saw a great cameo from him in Canada. He was running second. He was faster than some of the guys on the track towards the end there. In fact, the fastest at times. Are those results going to help to convince him to stay, do you think, or does he not need any convincing?
Well, I think it reminds him of how much fun it can be. It's frustrating to be midfield when he's had such a great career. So he's used to fighting at the front, and he had a taste of it again. So if we can convince him that we can be there consistently, then he'll carry on.
Ross, can I just bring it back to the Go Motorsport side of things? Do you have a policy within the company to allow a certain amount of university graduates or people to do work experience within the company? How do you do that? Presumably those bright young talents is what is the future of Formula One.
Yes, we do as much as we can. We have a lot of students come through. We work with a former student. I'm a patron of a former student. We support that, which I think is a great initiative. This is where the universities get together and design a racing car that they all take this year to Silverstone. That's a fantastic initiative. And also F1 at schools, which is a competition, you know, the little jet-propelled cars that they all build and race each other, and that's fantastic. So we do an awful lot on that side.
I just must put the final touch to that, and I think it's fair to say 6 billion revenue is in the British economy as a result of our sport, and we mustn't let that be forgotten. How much of that do you feel is as a result of Formula One and the expertise?
Well, we are the centre of Formula One. 8 of the teams are based in the UK. If you want a Formula One team, you come to the UK. Which is at 6 billion of turnover, which I think 3 or 4 billion is exported. There's 40,000 people have a career with motorsport in the UK, so we should celebrate it. It's fantastic.
Okay, well, let's hope that some British engineering can get this car towards the front. Michael has said this weekend he's already written off the chances of a podium, but I'm sure you're far more optimistic than that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, maybe not then. All right, Ross, thank you very much. Good to chat to you. Now then, Lewis Hamilton, he's had a tough couple of races, hasn't he? He had the outburst after Monaco, of course, ended up in the wall in Canada. So we decided it was time to put a smile on his face. So we sent him to the Glen, Watkins Glen, the famous American circuit, to do what he does best in a slightly different car.
For many people in America, this is Mecca for road racing.
We used to come in the 70s and watch them back then. That was exciting. Mario Andretti and Johnny Player, Lotus Special Black. He was our favorite.
Some great British drivers have been here. Graham Hill, Jimmy Clark.
My son and I both came up from Pennsylvania, about a 4-hour drive away. We came up, obviously to see Lewis Hamilton. We wanted to see a Formula One car, modern-day Formula One car, go around the Watkins Glen circuit.
We came to see Lewis Hamilton and Tony Stewart.
Lewis Hamilton who?
Circuits like this, they have such character, and I think the history adds to it. It's like driving an old historic car compared to a brand new car. Just they feel completely different for reasons that it's difficult to fathom.
Must be interesting for you to drive a NASCAR?
It is, definitely.
Can't wait.
I can't wait to get on the road. I think I've got radio, right? Yeah. Shake and bake, that's what I'm going to be on. I'm going to have fun. I expect it to be heavy. Cool, I got it. No, I'm just going to take it easy and try to enjoy it. This thing doesn't have downforce. It's much, much heavier than what I drive But you know, I've grown up watching it on TV, and you know, Days of Thunder and Talladega Nights. How do you do it?
Right leg first. Obviously, getting a chance to drive Lewis's Formula One car is an honor, so really excited to be here. Only waited 40 years of my life to do this. So. I'm a little nervous about it too. I want to make sure that I bring this car back in the same condition that it leaves pit road in. So, you know, especially a car that he's won a world championship in.
Excited, massively excited. I feel like a kid in the candy store. This is something, you know, getting to drive different cars, getting to feel that. I mean, this engine sounds amazing.
I didn't do the car justice, but man, that was cool.
That was awesome. That was fantastic.
There you go.
Well, Lewis, what did you think of that?
I think we have to swap jobs.
Really? You ready to come race over here at Daytona and Darlington and places like that?
I definitely wouldn't. Yeah, you never know. You never know.
There's nothing in the world that is like driving an F1 car for sure. It was cool to have all these fans be able to come out today and you know, see Lewis and I do something that's totally out of our element.
Nice donuts as well from you.
Yeah, I did a couple at the end. You know, I was like, I've got to give it a go. That's one thing you want to tick off your box, doing donuts on the main straight somewhere. So, fortunately, I got to do it.
Shake and bake baby indeed, and if you've got no idea what that means, just watch Talladega Nights, it will all become clear. So we've escaped what has to be probably the loudest pit lane so far this season. I'm so sorry, everywhere we went today, some clever engineer decided to ask the team to roar up the engines, which is a bit of a pain, but we're out here at the back of the Tingalados, and it's wonderful actually to see the way this operates. And the teams have had to do things like bring specially adapted exhausts just so that they can blow the hot air out from underneath the old fish market. You can see one of those there. David, you were out in Watkins Glen where Lewis was shaking and baking, and he's come up with a new nickname for himself, hasn't he?
Well, Tony Stewart has smoke written above his door sill, so that's his nickname. And I asked Lewis at the time, what would your nickname be if you were going to, if we did that sort of thing over here in Europe? And he said probably bump or crash at the moment, which I thought was very humorous of him because it was in the press conference. So, yeah, thankfully we don't actually carry our nicknames on the side of the car.
What would yours be?
I think most people refer to me as DC, but...
oh, come on. Boring.
I have a few
I don't know.
David, but I won't say them on air, I think. Perhaps that's...
Okay, let's move on, shall we?
I think we should do just that. I was thinking of one for you, Eddie, but I can't share that with people at home either. Well, let's talk about Lewis Hamilton then, because as we said, he has had a very tough past couple of races, and everybody from Niki Lauda to Eddie Irvine, they've all had something to say about Lewis Hamilton's current driving. But what about the man himself? Well, he's been speaking to Ted Kravitz.
Oh, to McLaren's touch! Lewis Hamilton, obviously with suspension damage, puncture. This is just incredible.
It's hard enough out there without running into your teammate.
This is difficult times for McLaren.
We've got Maldonado off. So Hamilton's gone up the inside of him. Surely that's another penalty for Lewis Hamilton, isn't it?
You talked about turning over a new leaf. What have you done? Have you looked at yourself? You looked at the driving? Are you going to take it a bit more easy? You're not going to go for gaps anymore? What?
No, I have stood back and had a look at things, and I like the way I drive, and so I'm going to continue to drive the way I drive. And you know, if I wasn't able to drive the way I do, then I just wouldn't enjoy it. And so, of course, you can always still make better judgment, better calls. So really, I think improving on certain calls that I've made.
We've got a very clumsy pass going on. Hamilton gets frustrated and drives into Felipe Massa. Now we've got Massa off the road.
You know, out of the 100 odd manoeuvres I've done over the last couple of years, okay, you're bound to have some that don't come off so well, but sometimes they do, and when they do, they are pretty good. So had a bit of a bad run. Hopefully we'll have a positive run from here.
And he's looking up the inside. He's through. Hamilton takes the lead. Lewis Hamilton brilliantly wins the Chinese Grand Prix.
In the Senna movie that I'm sure a lot of people at home would have seen, there's a quote in there where he says, you know, if you don't go for gaps anymore, you're no longer a racing driver.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that quote from him when I was very, very young, and it stuck with me, and it is absolutely true. I don't know if other drivers have that same feeling, but I definitely do.
Well, there you go, bump or crash, whatever his nickname wants to be. Twitter is now awash with potential nicknames for my partners in crime, but they're all unbroadcastable. Let's move on then, talk about Lewis Hamilton. Mark Webber came out with a great quote. He said that Lewis seemed to think that the checkered flag for that race was at the apex of turn 3 on the first lap. Is this impatient, petulant driving from a driver who just doesn't think his car is quick enough? Or is Lewis driving as he always has, and he's just being unlucky at the moment?
I think before I answer that, I must make reference to what he said. He said, I like the way I drive, and Lewis, so do we. We love it. Sure. It's exciting. And please don't change. There's been a few. You don't automatically lose brilliant talent. It's, I think, born out of frustration. I think this car wasn't good enough when it was launched. It has made huge strides forward, but I want Lewis to drive the way he is. That's how he won a world championship. That's how he excites me. I want to see exciting motor racing. I don't want to see just follow the leader. He does it for me. I'd have no criticism.
David?
Well, I think it's down to the pace of the car, quite frankly. You know, unsurprisingly, Sebastian Vettel hasn't had to overtake many people this year because he started on pole in all the races. So I think Michael Schumacher's overtaken statistically more people at the start of races because he's tended to be, you know, sort of fourth row or you know, just outside the top 10. So if the McLaren car was the fastest car out there, which it certainly at certain points has been very fast in the races, but it's been lacking a little bit in qualifying, then it would be a different situation. So if Lewis is not having to come from behind, he wouldn't need to make those manoeuvres, and you know, it's part of his racing instinct to go for the gap, and it's so difficult with the aerodynamics in Formula 1 to actually pull a pass off that it's unsurprising occasionally they go wrong. So I certainly wouldn't criticise him for having a go. It's just part of Formula 1. You're trying to pass what is a faster car on the racetrack. It's going to be close at times.
OK, well, looking at the statistics, Lewis Hamilton's last 3 DNFs have all come from trying to pass another car on track and ending up out of the race himself. Can you just watch the last 3 for us, David, and just give us your take on them? Is that OK?
Okay, well, this was Monza. This is just getting a wheel inside. I think that's Felipe Massa. And that was just a little bit clumsy. It was all bunched up, obviously, at the start. And there was a bit of a gap there, but he wasn't actually going for a pass. Here we have Singapore. He was actually on the outside of Mark Webber. And I actually think that was probably, on reflection, a bit more, you know, Mark who touched the rear wheel of Lewis rather than the other way around. It was almost like a copy, or a reverse, I should say, of what we saw in Canada with Lewis and Mark. And then, obviously, the incident with Jenson here. Jenson was taking the racing line. You know, you could argue at best that was a racing incident. At worst, it was slightly more Lewis's responsibility because he was the car behind, and I just fail to see why it should be the car in front's responsibility to weave out of the way just because someone sticks their nose in. It was always going to be a closing gap, but you know, he had to try and make the pass. He certainly did that with Jenson in China, and that allowed him to go on and win that Grand Prix. So maybe Jenson had the attitude, well, look, you've done it to me once this season, it's not happening now.
OK, well, we'll continue that conversation and we'll let you head off to the commentary box. Thank you very much. We'll hear your beautiful voice very shortly. Thanks a lot, David. Interesting point there from DC about that. What do you think Jenson's mindset was there? Because he's told me he just didn't see Lewis at all.
Well, that's what he's saying. The camera doesn't say that. The camera says he made a significant error on the corner before, and he went to block he went to take advantage of the inside track because that really was the only place that Lewis could pass. The spray would have meant that it would have been virtually impossible for Jenson to see Lewis. For certain, we know that Jenson is a very straightforward and clean driver. So to say that he caused an accident, no one is saying that. But I think it was just one of those things. I don't know where else Lewis could have gone to. He had the momentum and he had the speed out of the corner. He had to have a go.
And as we've seen, he's a driver who does have a go. And the good news for Lewis, of course, that when he tends to have bad weekends or bad races or get called up in front of the stewards, he tends to put in an incredible performance afterwards. So watch out for him. Just about 10 minutes to go until qualifying starts here in Valencia for the European Grand Prix. And we've had 3 different winners in the 3 races here. By far the most popular and the most patient was Rubens Barrichello, who had to wait 5 years for another win in Formula 1. It came right here for him, and Lee Mackenzie's been with him for a little wander down memory lane.
had a fantastic win, which was my 10th win, but it was a 100th win for Brazil. It was just phenomenal.
For the first time in 5 years, Rubens Barrichello is a winner in Formula One.
I remember going up the stairs and Lewis coming back to me saying what a great race it was. It was a great moment.
Some drivers who have come here have not been so impressed with the circuit. Is it a place that you like?
It is a place that I like. I think it's a good vibe. Certain points that the drivers complain about is that we make a straight line, but the walls actually come back to you. So it becomes a bit blindy. There's not been a lot of overtaking in this track, but if we had it in Monaco, here we're going to have plenty.
Barrichello makes a beautiful move on his old Ferrari teammate. He will be grinning from ear to ear.
We saw last year some problems with back markers. Mark Webber had a bit of a flare.
Oh, no!
He thought that the closing speeds from the Lotus and things were too extreme. Do you think that might be more of a problem here this weekend?
We hope not, but that's the problem with those walls coming back to you and coming away from you, because it's almost like the car in front is not actually taking a defensive. It could be a bit of a, of decisions where to go. Just watching what Mark went through, that flip was just horrible.
It's almost like the spectators are on top of you.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good. I mean, as long as they're safe, which they are, it feels very good. I remember seeing a lot of people on the pool on the top of the buildings there and having fun, and because I've started such a long time ago, I remember that in Spain, for example, before Alonso, you could count how many people you had on the grandstand.
Hola. This is a pretty tricky little section of the circuit that we've walked down to now. Just tell us about this and coming into the bridge as well.
It's just fantastic, the feeling that you go through a bridge. It's a narrow part of the circuit, but it feels good. I mean, it's something different.
Is this track sort of etched now onto your memory, or do you walk around and say, oh yeah, I remember this bit? And
oh no, it's everything in your mind. It's already, it takes 5 laps more or less for racing drivers to memorize the circuit. So 5 laps, and when you do that, you never forget anymore.
Do you feel excited? Because you've done so many races now in Formula One. Do you still have that sort of can't wait to get back in the car?
Absolutely. Every weekend I feel refreshed, and I mean the most difficult moment is when you say bye to the family and to the kids, because that's the tough bit that I gotta go for another weekend. But as soon as you are in the car and going to the airport, you're already in racing mode. And the other day we were actually sitting at home and having lunch, and I said, does anyone here wants me to be more at home and stop and so on? Mommy said, yeah, me. And the other 2 said, no. So it was three against 1.
Well, Rubens, it's been a pleasure to get your insights around this circuit. I really hope you have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Oh, we'll let you speak to your engineers and make your plan for the weekend ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rubens.
Cheers.
Happy memories for Rubens Barrichello, but been a tough season so far, yet to make it into the final part of qualifying. We're walking to our position to watch qualifying while the drivers are walking to the garages. You just saw Lewis Hamilton. What did he say?
Well, I just asked him how was his mindset, and he said very clearly, looking good.
OK, that's good to know. There you go. Lewis Hamilton will be using all his skills at times just to keep the car on the track, because it's so slippery out there still, Eddie, isn't it?
Well, it's slippery for various good reasons, and that is that this is still a road circuit, and you have all the trucks and all the cars, everyday normal day traffic, and all the oil that's deposited on the circuit. It takes longer. It's also significantly slower than a normal race circuit. So you have all of those added together. Of course, it takes longer to bed in.
Yep, and we can see Michael Schumacher coming around here, about to make his way over the bridge, and he manages to spin the car 180 degrees. Now, this is in the final part of free practice. Just this morning, by now, this track should be rubbered in. It should be pretty grippy, but it clearly isn't. So what's going to happen? We're about to find out. So, OK, 20 minutes of action coming your way. The slowest 7 cars will be eliminated. The rest will go through to try and fight for pole position. It's time for qualifying for the European Grand Prix with Martin Brundle and David Coulthard.